Falcons fans, let's take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Because for the first time in what it feels like weeks, we've finally got some legitimately positive news about the Atlanta Falcons and Michael Penix Jr. injury. And no, this is not the fake positive news from someone on Twitter who said basically my cousin at the barbershop said it wasn't that bad. No, this is legit coming from someone who knows what they're talking about. Now, while the national media has been out throwing around terms like ACL tear, season injury, ending, long-term concern, they've been throwing this out like confetti at a New Year's Eve party. Dr. David Chao, yes, ProFootballDoc himself, just went on the Bleav Podcast with Michael Turner and Obi Mihaly and completely flipped the storyline. And honestly, what he said makes a whole lot more sense than the panic roller coaster we've been on for the last 72 hours. So let's walk through exactly what he said and why Falcons fans should feel a whole lot better going forward. Now, Dr. David Chao didn't waste any time. He said he watched the play, he broke down the mechanics, he looked at the angle and the force and how the knee moved, and then he drops this bombshell. The good news is, in no way, shape, or form is this injury an ACL injury. Excuse me? Coming in? Because on ESPN and Twitter, they all having us believe that Penix ACL was basically hanging on by a thread. Now, according to Dr. Chao, the hit on Penix's left knee doesn't line up at all with how basically ACL tears happen. None of the classic signs, none of the typical mechanics, zero alignment with an ACL mechanism, which means all those ACL tear headlines, yeah, that might have been referring to something completely different or something old. Okay, then. So you say, ATL Sports Zone, he didn't hurt his ACL. What did he injure? He actually injured his PCL. Now, this part is super important because Dr. David Chao said Penix's actual injury is consistent with a PCL sprain, which is, by definition, technically a tear, but not remotely close to the catastrophic injury that people freaked out about. Now, he explained it in terms like this. PCL sprains rarely require surgery. They usually come with bone bruises. They heal with rest and time. They're annoying, but not career-threatening. And if you're Falcons fans, this is basically equivalent to your house isn't burning down, you just burned dinner. Still sucks, still inconvenient, still embarrassing, but the structure is intact. So where did all of this ACL talk come from? Now, here's a little bit of twist that kind of had me confused, but essentially, it's not all 100% good because Dr. David Chao believes that the partial ACL tear people are referring to was pre-existing, not from this new hit. He explains this perfectly by saying, when you've had ACL surgeries like Penix has, it's normal for the reconstructed or additional knees to be slightly looser than a natural one. This is common in athletes basically who play their entire year. They basically play their entire year with zero issues with a partial ACL tear. But he's saying when Penix sprained his PCL, that existing looseness suddenly becomes more noticeable on imaging, meaning the national media probably took old laxity and reported it like it was a brand new injury. This is why we're listening to specialists and not reactionary headlines. So basically, to simplify this, he could have injured his ACL, but since he recently injured his PCL, it's more prevalent now because the PCL shows that the ACL is not right. He could have been playing on that ACL injury, and he could have been 100% fine, which is interesting in itself. But now that he has that PCL, the ACL looks worse because the PCL is hurt, if that makes sense. Now, the only real concern for all of this, Dr. David Chao said the recovery is not great because this is considered a re-injury. He had this bone bruise earlier. PCL sprains need time, and Penix will be out longer than the first time he tweaked that knee. Now, he even compared it to Brock Purdy's turf toe situation. It at first looked minor, yet re-injured, suddenly became a 6-week problem. And look, this isn't Penix's fault. It's not a toughness issue. It's not a glass bones narrative. This is normal for NFL players to re-aggravate something and be out longer. Now, the big question going forward is, will Penix return this season? And here's the reality. Dr. Chao said it plainly. I think it would be against the odds that he would return this season. Not because he can't, physically recover, not because his injury threatens his career, because by the time he's healthy, the Falcons season might be too far gone to justify putting him back on the field. This is not just him being injured. It doesn't simply make sense going forward, especially when this team has nothing to play for, essentially. So, the bottom line is, the news is way better than you think. Here's what all Falcons fans need to take away from what the doc just said. Penix did not suffer a new ACL tear. The actual injury is a PCL sprain, not nearly as serious as the ACL tear. Surgery is not expected, but it could happen, but not expected. The ACL talk was likely a pre-existing laxity, and his career absolutely is not in danger like many people are saying. He just needs more time to recover than the last time he had this bone bruise. This is the rare moment in time where an expert opinion is way more positive than the media narrative. And honestly, Falcons fans kind of deserves the sigh of relief going forward, because it's been tough for the Atlanta Falcons. So my final thoughts are, yes, it sucks. Penix is probably going to be out. The timing is brutal, but this is not a long-term career-ending injury, and most likely he will be back out there at the start of the training camp next year, cheering on, rooting on, and trying to get the black and red wins next year. So, Falcons fans, please breathe and enjoy this rare moment where a specialist actually brings good news for the Atlanta Falcons. But if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. And like always,